Special services have been held on both sides of the Channel to mark the moment the Royal Flying Corps entered into the First World War.
The RFC became the eyes of the army and downed dozens of enemy planes between 1914 and 1918. Well, at Netheravon in Wiltshire, tributes have been paid to the first British airman to die in the campaign.
While in France, the first British pilot to touch down safely was remembered by his family from Dorset. David Allard reports.
When I was a little lad, there were sort of stories at the dinner table about Great Uncle Bay, and my mother saying, his aeroplane's in the Imperial War Museum, and so when my children were born, I took them to the Imperial War Museum to see the plane.
Family stories of a man whose place in history was remembered today. Lieutenant Hubert Harvey Kelly, known as Bay, was the first British airman to land a plane in France after war broke out. He went on to lead dozens of successful missions and received the Distinguished Service Order.
He was known as being eccentric. There was a story about him always carrying a reel of cotton and a potato with him, because the Germans would treat him nicely if they found him with practical items if he ever got shot down.
The airfield at Glizzy. Bay's biplane touched down safely here exactly 100 years ago. Today, a drumhead service was held to mark that significant moment in the Great War.
Once the war started, the Royal Flying Corps arrives and it's reconnaissance. It'll rapidly take over directing artillery, communications, and of course then the work of scouts is shooting down the enemy. It's vitally important, and unless we'd been able to match the German Air Force, we would have been at a massive disadvantage. Unfortunately, there's a very heavy loss of life to achieve anything in this kind of air war.
At Netheravon in Wiltshire, a parachutist delivered a wreath to remember the first two British casualties. 23-year-old pilot Robin Skeen from Surrey and 22-year-old air mechanic Raymond Barlow. Soon after taking off from here, their plane banked, lost speed and crashed.
Their sacrifice and heroism were not in vain.
Among those paying their respects, members of a Surrey motorcycle club who tracked down Robin Skeen's great niece. A tribute was read on her behalf.
I am also filled with pride for a young man who was willing to do his bit for his country, knowing the risks he was taking.
Wreaths were then laid on the graves of Robin Skeen at Send near Guildford and Raymond Barlow in Bulford. Back in France, Bay's family paid tribute to their hero of the sky, who was finally shot down in 1917.
I've come here with my uncle, and I'm here with my son. So there's 4 generations of us here, if you include Bay, and that's something that's very important to all of us in the family.